This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a fly ball to deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Dolis Garcia sends on the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the run. Legend grows. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. Friday, A's are back on the road, and so are we, as we are in the NBC studios in San Francisco. This is the Legends Room. It's a conference room. We've got a big picture of Ricky Henderson, the great Willie Mays, who just turned 93. Mitch Richmond, a young Mitch Richmond.
Yeah.
As a Sacramento King.
He was like a six-time All-Star with them.
Yeah. And then an unbelievable picture. Maybe at some point we'll turn it around. Because remember, NBC covers all the teams. That's why Mitch Richmond will not be as a Warrior. He's as a Sacramento King. Because obviously the Kings are on NBC Sports California, just like the A's and the Sharks. That's why Owen Nolan's here. But Nate Thurman being guarded by a young Milwaukee Buck by the name of
Lou Alcindor.
It is an awesome picture. I mean, when you think about that, Nate Thurman obviously was one of the toughest centers of his time. And here you have Lou Alcindor before he becomes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a Milwaukee Buck. Would end up leading the Bucks to an NBA title before he'd be off with the Big O, before he would go off to Los Angeles. A little NBA history for you, but we got to show this picture because that is a legendary picture. And that's why this is the Legends Room. When you got Ricky, you got Willie, you got Kareem, you got some pretty big names. You talk about the greatest in the history of sports. You think of Ricky Henderson, Willie Mays, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Pretty special.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, not to disparage Owen Nolan or Mitch Richmond, who are also in here.
No,
but those are greats of the greats. No offense.
Are you saying no offense to Mitch Richmond and Owen Nolan?
I mean, Sharks had the first pick in a draft. I mean, maybe the kid they're going to draft will replace Owen Nolan. Who knows?
It's like at the time when they're like, all right, we got to put somebody from the Kings. We got to put somebody from the Sharks.
Why not Vlade or Peja or Mike Bibby?
I mean, we just got to put somebody there.
Brad Miller.
I mean, it's far different than Kareem and Nate Thurman.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool, though. It's Thurman. You think most young Warrior fans will go, no Steph Curry, no Draymond, no Clay.
Oh, Big Nate's Barbecue. Remember Big Nate's Barbecue, how good that used to be here in the city? Were you ever around for that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, when Nate Thurman has barbecue, and I was working at KMBR, he used to bring it over all the time. It was phenomenal. Miss Big Nate. Nate was a great man. We've got a lot to get into. We're here because I'll be doing a little NBC work later on for the pre- and post-game show, A's pre- and post-game live. I'll be doing it with Brody Brazil. We'll get you ready for this road trip. This is a biggie. You got 3 in Seattle. You got 4 in Houston. And then look out, the team that spent the most money in the American League in the offseason is red hot, and that's the Kansas City Royals. Happy birthday, Salvi Perez, who, by the way, I know Bobby Witt Jr. is the next top 3, maybe great talents in our game. But Salvador Perez could be the MVP of the league.
Having a hell of a year as a catcher.
It is major hit after, if you watch the highlight shows, it's like every single night. The guy he's only 34. We act like he's like a dinosaur. He's only 34 years old. He's got a lot left in the tank. But, man, he's playing like the MVP. He's already won an MVP. He's playing like the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he's been around forever. But, I mean, I know it's been his first year in the league was 13, somewhere around there.
Yeah. We came up young.
I mean, he played in 2 World Series. He was super young when he played in those World Series. Now he's the veteran on the Royals team that has Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, what do they call him? The Pasquatch is his name.
Sasquatch. They always have Sasquatch. People wearing Sasquatch. Whenever you can get Bigfoot into your game, I mean, is Bigfoot not one of the great characters in the history of the United States of America?
Big in the Pacific Northwest. So where they are.
I mean, who does? I mean, the Bigfoot thing's hilarious.
It's a good. Remember,
Pasquatch.
We went over the promotions that minor league baseball is doing, and I think it's the Royals minor league affiliate is doing a Sasquatch giveaway.
I mean, whether you want to call him the Yeti, whatever you want to call the abominable snowman, whenever you can get a large hairy beast. Chewbacca was huge, obviously, in the Star Wars trilogies. I mean, come on, getting a big hairy beast that is like your buddy.
Well, don't sleep on Barf and Spaceballs. John Candy, the spoof of Star Wars, he was Barf. With Lone Star. I don't really remember. Bill Pullman plays Lone Star.
That was a great movie.
It was hilarious.
That was a great movie. Interesting game today between the Athletics and the Mariners because the Mariners just had a very rough series against the Twinkies. The sausage is still running. The sausage is still going. And you look at the Seattle Mariners, we know what they are. They can pitch. And Brian Wu from Oakland, Cal Poly guy, but he's from Oakland. He's going to be making his first start of the year after 3 rehab starts. You're going to see a lot of fastballs tonight. He's going to come after you. Do you realize that the A's last season were 1-12 against the Mariners?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
1-12.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, if I was Johnny D, be bro.
I mean, to be fair.
1-12.
I mean, to be fair, the team won 50 games. Who would they would have had a?
In division, you only beat a division foe one time. That's terrible.
Bro, no, bro.
Yep. Yes, Johnny.
So here's the deal. We got to call this payback time. This has got to be payback time because that just cannot happen. Go up there. And the A's, by the way, the numbers right now, I have all the numbers in front of me. The numbers right now are completely skewed because the A's scored 20 runs in a game. Like the final in the last game, they scored 11 runs. So all of a sudden, a ton of runs in bunches has skewed the numbers. In my opinion, watching these games, the A's have been better on the road. The way they played in New York, the way they played in Baltimore. I'm really curious to see how this road trip is going to go starting in Seattle. A lot's going to be about home runs. It is what it is. Both these teams score when they hit home runs. The A's runs the highest percentage of runs coming from the home run at 52.6. Third in the league is Seattle at 48.2. This is how they score. And we're going to go into it a little bit more and a little bit more into detail. And we're going to utilize Brent Rooker to prove a point. Do I have permission to use Brent Rooker to prove something today?
I mean, he's been on a pretty good run right now since what do we look at? I looked at just the last 7. You went all the way back to the Yankees. He's been on a great run.
He's been on an unbelievable run to where he has raised his batting average 100 points. And what it's going to show you, and what I talk about all the time, is it's a numbers game. It's a game of math. So you can think something's an archaic stat. But something like batting average, where even Brian Kinney has even come around going, I'm not going to fight it anymore. It doesn't matter. The more you hit, the more your average goes up. But the more you hit, everything goes up. And I'm going to prove something today that I didn't know if I really want to go with it or not. Or should I just outright say it and not be afraid? Should I just say it?
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Moneyball was kind of a fraud.
Oh, wow. I didn't think you were going there.
Not because what Michael Lewis told us, he was selling us something that wasn't real.
You don't put a team together with a computer, Billy.
I hear you. I hear you. But what we were being told about 2002 is it's kind of a fraud. And I've been looking into walks. I've been on this quest, And our buddy Eno Saris has been helping me. And it's a quest to understand how baseball changes through eras. And there's people a lot smarter than me with fancy degrees who've been going over this. But there's some simple things that you can look at. I'm going to just give you an example. We're being told in 2002. By the way, let's set up the show. How about the new top for the Commander from Link Soul?
I love it.
You like it?
One size down now. It's a large.
Commander's lost how much?
40.
It's lost 40 pounds.
I've been waiting anxiously from the doctor to see what my A1C number is. So it's a moment of truth to see if I got below.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when the new shipment of Link Soul came in and that came out, my wife said, give that to Cody. That'll look good on Cody.
I wore it last night I went and saw I did some scouting. I went and saw the Ports take down the Giants at San Jose, although I wanted to see Miles Naylor, not in the lineup, but Ports still won.
Did you have the barbecue?
Actually, I did not. My wife and I went and ate beforehand, but we ended up getting free barbecue, and I just ended up handing it out. Right field Will ended up getting a free barbecue from me. I said, hey, I'm not going to use this. Please use it. So, Will, you're welcome.
Will's getting free barbecue now? He's a rock star down there?
Free barbecue. People are always buying him. He's always getting free beers from people. Not from me. I cut the line. I cut it out.
Last time I was at the San Jose Giants Stockton Ports game, I bought right field Will beer.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Will? And I don't drink anymore, so I can't get it back.
Yeah.
I do it out of my heart because I love right field.
So yeah, but I went and watched the Ports. They look good last night. But I wore this last night. My wife was like, "Well, it looks really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's also a large." So
I'm not ordering you extra large. I'm not. You know what? No, everything's going to be large from here on out. Okay, quickly, who's on the show today? Because I have a point to prove.
Yeah, no.
It's going to blow. I'm going to blow your mind about what a fraud Michael Lewis was trying to sell us in Moneyball in the book and the film.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do it right here on A's Cast.
So we have J.J. Cooper from Baseball America, the editor-in-chief. He wrote a great article about how pitchers really aren't being developed to throw deeper into games anymore into minor leagues. We're going to have Tyler Ferguson, who we talked to the other day. Great story, made his debut for the A's after being drafted by the Rangers, full circle moment. And we'll have Mark Kotsay for the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Nest Betting. The end of the show around 5:30. So we were trying to get Rich Aurelia in. He's doing Giants pre and post, but he's going to the ballpark right now, so I don't think we're going to be able to get Rich. We'll get him this year at some point because the A's and Giants do play here, I think, in July. So J.J. Cooper coming up in about 18 minutes. Tyler Ferguson, top of the hour, and then Mark Kotsay, 5:30.
So we were told the big thing about Moneyball is you start to look about the deficiencies and things, inefficiencies, however you want to put it. What are people not looking at? How can we compete and be really good and be doing something that other people aren't doing? We're looking at something that other people aren't. We're taking advantage of different things that people aren't taking advantage of. Everybody else is over here doing one thing. We're going to go over here and find something else and use it as our advantage. We're going to turn the tables on the casinos.
You're stealing it from the movie. That's a line from the movie.
Right? We're like card counters. We were led to believe the inefficiencies in the market was walks. Oh, my God, walks. They're going to find out. You get Scott Hatteberg, and he walks. What does he do?
He gets on base.
And all of a sudden, now you're going to win, and you're going to go to the playoffs. Moneyball was about 2002, and we were led to believe people weren't walking that much. Isn't kind of that the premise of the book?
Yes. Nothing to do with the Cy Young winner, the MVP.
No, the book. It was about we're looking at different things. There's
market inefficiency is what it's mainly about. Yeah.
All right, and we were led to believe walking was one of those.
Yeah.
This is 2002. Do you realize in 1999, how many teams do you think walked over 600 times in 1999? It was a few years before Moneyball.
16.
How many teams do you think walked over 600 times last year?
7.
Okay, he's guessing. Last year, we had 2.
Oh.
Do you know how many went up for over 700?
None.
0.
Who are the 2? Hold on. Astros?
Nope.
Dodgers.
1.
Okay.
Padres were number 1. Dodgers were number 2.
Soto was the Soto effect on the Padres.
So I want you to think about that. Last year in baseball, we had only 2 teams that walked 600 times. In 1999, we had 14 teams walk 600. 5 went for over 700. This is right before Moneyball. You're about to put a book out that says, we got to figure out how to get walks. The A's led the league in walks in 1999 at 770. The year Moneyball is about 2002. The A's didn't come close to us walking as much. They walked far less. The A's in 2002 only walked 609 times. But once again, we had a bunch of teams walk 600. So the reality is, Moneyball, the whole thing about walks, I'm now realizing, now that I'm looking into walks, I'm rolling my eyes. Because that was the steroid era. And in the steroid era, people were walking at a crazy rate. Why? Because pitchers were afraid to throw the ball over the plate because the pitchers are on roids too, but all the roids. Hitters are they're on PEDs, they're on testosterone, they're on anabolic steroids, they're on PEDs. You didn't want to throw the ball over the plate. Why? Because it got hammered. So you had teams walking 700 times. You had 5 teams walk 700 times in 1999. We haven't even sniffed that in years. So I started looking at this last night, and I'm like, God, Moneyball was kind of a fraud. Once again, 2023, we had 2 teams walk 600 times. We had 14 in 1999. How about this? 2022, how many teams walked 600 times in 2022?
If it was how many last year? 2, I'd say 4.
2.
Oh, wow. Dodgers, one of them again?
Dodgers, one of them again. Who's this one?
Yankees.
So where's all your walks? Where'd they go? Where's all the 700 walk teams? They don't exist anymore. The high in 2022 was 620. The high in 2023 was 653. I had 5 teams walk 700 times in 1999. Where'd all the walks go?
I'm sure if you look at it, what walks went down, strikeouts skyrocketed, right?
Well, a theory, and I threw this theory to Eno Saris. My theory is we have defined the strike zone more than any time in baseball history. I checked with our boss, Dallaire. Remember when the box started showing up when we're watching games?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed annoying at first. Now, if we don't have it, we're like, where's the box? That started with StatCast in 2015. There were select people who started with it. I think Fox Sports was the first one who started using it. They weren't all using it. And then all of a sudden it became mandatory. We all have to have it now. And then MLB.com, and then we got apps. And we're able to follow every single pitch on every single batter, every single game as it goes on. So we know if it's a strike or a ball, it gets pitched and we can track it on whatever device we want to. Umpires are being graded on Twitter.
Correct.
And that's from the StatCast information. So StatCast, essentially radar, StatCast has helped us define the strike zone more than ever. So now we know you just can't say Laz Diaz sucks as an umpire. Oh, no. We have now information that tells us Laz Diaz sucks as an umpire, and we'll get every single game he umpires, or Angel Hernandez, every single game they umpire, we'll get a report. And we'll see. They get graded out every game, and it doesn't have to be by the Umpires Union or Major League Baseball. We get it on our own now. We have more information than ever before. So being someone who walks the park as a pitcher, you're not going to last. And you got to throw strikes. We're in an era that's hard to score right now. The Moneyball steroid era, essentially, it was not hard to score because there was a lot of guys on base, guys hit, a lot of runs scored. We are seeing less runs scored. We're in an era of it's harder to score. So how do we score? Well, David Force told us ball goes far, team goes far. It's easier to score when you hit a home run. You know, look at the teams right now that score the most via the home run. A's at 52.6%, Yankees at 48.4%. This is your percentage of runs scored by the home run. Mariners are third at 48.2%. Orioles are at 46.5%, and Phillies at 42.9%. All these teams are good teams, and the A's record is distorted, the 18-21, because of the first homestand. If the A's first homestand wasn't this horrific start, they'd be over 500. All these teams would be over 500. So what we're seeing is the most important thing right now in baseball is really slug. It's slugging. And Bil James, who continues to be the godfather of analytics, has come out, and there's an article, it's behind a paywall, and I'm not paying for it. But the one thing that's the inefficiency in baseball that we're starting to see, and we're like, oh my God, I wish we had a guy like this, is contact hitters. This is what if you claimed walks were the problem back in the day, which I'm going to show you is BS. They walked a ton in 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. It's the steroid era. People are walking. Pitchers are afraid to throw strikes. So Michael Lewis pulled a fast one over us. But right now, what's something teams don't have as you look around team batting averages? What do they not have?
Contact hitters?
They don't have contact hitters.
Not every team has a Stephen Kwan, you're saying?
They do not have By the way, we like to say average doesn't matter, right? Who's got the highest OPS in baseball? This is easy.
As a player, Shohei Ohtani.
No. The team.
Oh, Dodgers.
Yes. Who's got the highest batting average?
Dodgers.
Yeah. They hit home runs. They hit for average. They're not number one in home runs. The Orioles are. But how about this? Once again, highest percentage of run scored via the home run. Dodgers aren't on there.
No.
Because They hit. And I want to prove to you that when you are a guy that hits and you do more than just home run, Brent Rooker, look, numbers change. Brent Rooker's numbers right now are all world. And they've changed in a span of 12 games. Because he walked, because it was Scott Hatterberg, all he does is walk, he gets on base. Do I care how he gets on base?
You do not.
Is that why his numbers have changed?
No.
And this is why you have to understand slugging percentage right now in the era we're in. If you're into this kind of stuff, slugging, some people, you just want to show up, you want to have a beer, you want to have a sausage, you want to buy your kid a hot dog and some merch and then watch the game and go home. I get it. I'm with you. But if you want to follow all this kind of stuff, this is what's important. People, different eras of baseball, it switches to where on base, you could follow on base leads to more wins for a team. But that's in an era like what we had with the steroid era because so many people are on base. Now, where it's harder to get people on base, where there's so many strikeouts, nobody's hitting for average or very few, and everybody's scoring off home runs. Now slugging percentage means more than ever. Slugging percentage for teams is the way you want to look closer to how teams get wins. You've got to slug your way to wins because it's harder to score. Because if you're not slugging, I used to talk about all the time, we can bring up Jack Cust, we can bring up Brandon Belt, we can bring up Juan Soto. Great, you walk. How do I get you home? What do you mean to me if you're a slow guy and you're on first base? You can't steal bags. You can't steal your way to scoring position. And Juan Soto, for a guy that all this time where you've watched score so many walk so many times, you're like, why doesn't he score more? And everybody who's a Juan Soto lover is going to put it on everybody else. But what we're starting to see is slug is the number one thing. I want to see Juan Soto swing the bat. I don't want him putting it up to other people. I want to see him doing the damage. Slugging percentage right now is something we should all be looking at because it's a way to drive people in. Hitting. Can you hit? Brent Rooker is a great example. Ladies and gentlemen, Brent Rooker on April 25th was 0 for 4 against the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. His batting average was 176. 176. On May 27th, 2 days ago, after the doubleheader, he had raised it 101 points to 277 in 12 games. In those 12 games, Brent Rooker hit 395, 4 home runs, 5 doubles, 17 hits. Why did Brent Rooker's numbers and his slug go to 791 and his OPS vaulted up to 1281? Why?
He was hitting the ball. Power.
Wasn't because he was walking. Wasn't because he was walking. His batting average, ball put in play, his BABIP was 464. Brent Rooker's numbers are off the charts right now because he's hitting. We'll talk to Mark Kotsay about that in just a little bit. But he's hitting. That is the difference. Why is Ryan Noda sitting in AAA? I'll tell you why Ryan Noda. Why? Who do we have coming up?
J.J. Cooper.
What time?
3 minutes.
Why is Ryan Noda sitting in AAA? Because pitching coaches realize, how did this guy hitting 230 all year long walk 77 times? How are you giving him free 90 feet like that? Why would you not make him earn? And you saw it from the get-go. Ryan Noda started taking a lot of call third. They were challenging him right out of the gate. I'm going to force him to prove he can hit. And what happened?
He wasn't hitting?
He wasn't hitting. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, his swing is this, is that. You can say whatever you want about his swing. I'll just tell you, no one was pitching around him. They were coming right after him. Why would you be walking a guy hitting 230? The numbers just say the odds are in your favor. How could a guy – there were times last year, in a year where Ryan Noda's walking – am I right on that? It was 77 times he walked?
Yeah.
In a year where he walked 77 times, there were times he was hitting in the 220s.
Yeah.
And he's walking in there. We're like, well, he gets on base. Like, as a pitching coach and you got a game plan going into every series, how are you not disgusted that we keep walking a guy hitting 200, 220?
Whenever I was talking to someone the other day at the Coliseum, I said, hey, have you seen what Noda's doing in AAA? His numbers weren't great the other day. And he was hitting like .83, and he had 7 strikeouts and 12 at-bats. And the first thing they said to me was, well, he has 6 walks in AAA. That's great, but we need him to hit more. He's a first baseman. We need him to get on base and hit more. And when you're right, he had 77 walks and a batting average that finished at, 229? So he needs to improve that. That's why he's down there. And Tyler Soderstrom's up here now playing first base tonight in the lineup again for the A's. So hopefully Tyler can, seize the moment and play and, be the guy they want him to be at first base and be a guy that slugs, because that's why they like him, because he has power and he can slug. So hopefully he can do that, and Noda can figure it out in AAA, because we know you're the president of the fan club. So.
I love Ryan Noda because I think Ryan Noda can hit. And if you're starting to understand from a front office that we need to slug, well, how do you slug? You got to be ready. You got to be ready to hit. You got to be. I mean, I don't remember what year it was. I'll never forget it. Remember when those reports came out that down in the minor leagues, the A's were forcing everybody in the minor leagues to take the 3-1 pitch no matter what?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? And we were in Minnesota, and a guy by the name of Jim Thome. Have you ever heard of him?
He was a good Cleveland Indian.
Yeah, well, he was a Minnesota Twin at the time. I want to say it might have been the first year at Target Field. And 3-1, I don't remember which A's pitcher was on the mound. He delivered one right down the you know what Jim Thome did with it?
Swung and hit a home run?
He hit a grand slam. And I remember saying, we're telling our guys in the minor leagues not to swing, and this guy's going to Cooperstown. He gets a 3-1 fastball. It's hunting time. So, I mean, what do you want to do? It's hard to score. We're in an era where it's hard to score. How are you going to score? You got to swing the bat. And the A's, have the A's gotten better this homestand? Swinging the bat. It's bottom line. It's in the numbers. You want to be passive and try and walk, you got no shot. You got no shot. You have to hit for power. You need doubles.
Yeah.
You got to hit. You got to hit. And having a bunch of guys, because we've seen a lot of it, man. We've seen a lot of it so far where we're getting ready for games, and you get this guy's hitting 176, this guy's hitting 180. It's like, man, finding guys to make. That's why Jacob Wilson getting improved. So hope JJ has been following Jacob Wilson. You say he had 3 more hits in AAA last night?
Yeah, and he walked. I mean, kid was hitting 455. He was known as the elite bat-to-ball guy in the draft, and he is proving that was no fluke just in college. He took AA hitting 455, and that's the thing now going to AAA. Now you're going to arena ball, like arena football, because all the numbers are crazy. But, I mean, yeah. What does this kid do? He hits. You can say it's early all you want. I was watching they had MLB Network had the thing on Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre, last night, talking about when Gwynn came up, and I lived that growing up in San Diego. I watched Tony Gwynn play at college at San Diego State. Can you imagine how many people when Tony Gwynn was hitting at San Diego State went, oh, that's whack baseball. He doesn't walk enough.
Yeah, he didn't walk enough. And then Tony Gwynn goes in the minor leagues. He needs a lot of at-bats. He needs 1,500 at. Did Tony Gwynn need 1,500 at-bats?
No, I don't think so.
He pretty much came out of the whack, tore up the minor leagues, and by the time he's 22, he hits 300 and then never not hit 300 again.
Yeah.
Do we have JJ?
Yeah.
JJ, welcome back to A's Cast Live. How are you?
How are you guys?
We're doing well. Obviously, your article you just put out, very good and very timely when we're talking about young pitchers and how young pitchers, we're not throwing them as much. And the big news, obviously, Skeens is going to be going tomorrow. We're laughing like over and under. I put the over and under at 4 2/3. Do you go over or under on 4 2/3, Paul Skeens, if we were in a casino right now?
I'm going to go over, but only because I think he's going to get like 5 to 5 1/3. I think that they're going to figure out a way to get him just over that limit. He has gone 6. He has gone longer than that now in the minors. And I also do think he's going to be amped up. I remember Steven Strasburg's debut, and I remember we did a podcast at Baseball America the next day where I said, enjoy this because there's no guarantee that we're going to see Steven Strasburg better than we saw him in that debut. And I'll go back, I've rewatched that game a few times since, and I'm not saying he didn't become a better pitcher, but when you talk about the quality of the stuff, he was as good that day as it ever was going to be. And with Paul Skeens, the quality of the stuff that he has right now, with him being a little extra amped because it's debut day in the major leagues, I think he may dominate tomorrow. And then it's going to be a question of how long is he going to be able to go. But I do think that first time that hitters are seeing him, seeing the multitude of pitches he has to go with what will probably be 100, 101, 102 tomorrow, it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Was it Strasburg's debut against the Pirates?
Yeah.
And I remember watching him at San Diego State, and it was absolutely amazing. What would be the comp you have for Skeens? What would you say he reminds me of?
Okay, it's not fair to put like a Verlander on him, but I do think he has that chance to be not just a guy who maintains velocity, but he's a horse. So that one of the things I loved about him at LSU is LSU last year basically said you're pitching once a week and we're just giving Friday to you. And I'm not saying he went 9 innings every time out, but he went 7 or 8 and sometimes 9. And he was able to maintain velocity deep in the games. He sometimes would ramp up velocity deeper in the games because, okay, I need to get out of this inning. I'm going to give it a little extra. And he was able to do that time after time after time. It's a team that basically, again, they were incredibly talented. had many other future big leaguers on that team. But one of the biggest reasons that they won it all is because they had Paul Skeens. And you just want to see a guy do that. You want to see the pitcher who basically is like, come on, team, just hop on my shoulders. I'm going to carry you. And he did that. And I do think he has a chance to, he's a pitcher, so we always have to worry about injury risk. But I do think he has a chance to maybe do that as well at the major league level if he can stay healthy. But again, the durability, the ability to maintain velocity, he's incredibly strong, all those things. And also the aptitude. He keeps adding pitches. This is a guy who was kind of a 2 to 3 pitch guy at Air Force who became like a 4 pitch guy at LSU. Now he's kind of like a 5 pitch guy. So he's had that ability. He has that aptitude to process, take in information, and he has also an overriding desire to be better and to be the best, which is also key when you're talking about a potential ace.
Yeah, the way they've handled him, I find it fascinating because you mentioned going Friday. In college baseball, we call you the Friday guy. And when I played college baseball, early 90s through the mid 90s, then if you go into the late 80s when college baseball and ESPN really is becoming hot, the Friday guy, that was your game. And you were going up against the other team's Friday guy. These are the aces. These are the games, the scouts everybody's looking at. And, when you're pitching in the SEC, which now is the best conference, and you're pitching against the best talent, you have a guy who's absolutely dominating. And then you bring him to the minor leagues and you're going, here's 3 innings. I mean, how does that really make him a better, this is what I'm used to. Maybe you don't want to have him at the same workload, but you went from taking him for what he does and what has made him so special. And now, I mean, we were looking at, because Cody, my producer, is such a big Pirate fan, going, yeah, he's going like 3 innings. I'm like, how was that great for your development?
And that's what I wrote about. That I think everyone here is trying to do the right thing. Clearly, the Pirates are hopeful that this is the way to help give him more innings in September this year, by ramping him up slowly in April. But the thing I wrote about is that when you have a guy who's as competitive as a guy like Paul Skeens, and you tell him, here's 3 innings, well, you're going to get 3. I mean, buckle up. It's going to be 3 innings of absolute filth, but that's going to be him at 100% pretty much every pitch because he knows he's going 3 innings. I don't know necessarily if that's a better way and safer for a guy than saying, we don't know how many innings you're going to go tonight. You're going to go however many innings you can. We're going to pull you when it's advantageous because either you're tired or we need to go to someone else, whatever the situation is. But, I talked in that story about Hunter Green when he was coming up. It's kind of a similar challenge because Hunter Green was a guy who could give you 102 whenever you wanted it. And the Reds decided with him that, you know what, we're not going to tell him that he's going 3 or 4 or 5. Coming off of Tommy John surgery, they told him, hey, you're going to go till we pull you. And they made a point of pretty early on, there was a game where I think went 104 pitches. And the point they made is they said, if we tell Hunter Green that he's got 3 innings, or even if we don't tell him, but he knows that he's coming out, we keep pulling after 3 or 4 innings, he's going to sit at 101, 102 miles an hour. But if we tell him, hey, this game's yours, let's see how long you go, and they're never going to abuse it. They never let him go 12 or anything like that. But if they did that, they knew that he'd probably sit more like 98 and ramp up when he needed to. And so far, that's worked out really well for Hunter Green. The point of all of this, the point of the story I wrote was, it's not that what these teams are doing is evil or they're trying to screw these guys or anything like that, obviously. But we've now been doing this. This has kind of been the way of minor league baseball and pitching development, young pitchers, for I'd say the last 10 years. We're coming up on more than that for some guys. Like a Dylan Bundy was one of the first guys I remember really kind of being in this, where Dylan Bundy was really at the time was the best prep pitching prospect come out of high school, in years. And the Orioles had 3 innings, and he went out and threw 3 perfect innings. Then he threw 3 perfect innings. Then he threw, I think he walked 1 guy, but he threw 3 hitless innings. Then he threw 4 perfect innings. So first 4 outings, he hasn't allowed a hit, but he blew out his elbow the next year. Like, they tried to ramp him up slowly, hoping that would help. And I'm not saying that blew out his elbow, but I am saying it didn't prevent him from blowing out his elbow. And even if these things are just neutral, then the better thing to do is ramp the guy up. If it's not helping, then let the guy pitch, because anytime you take one of these guys out of the game, you're replacing him with someone who's a lesser pitcher. And on top of that, if you want this guy to develop into being a quality big league starter who can work deep in games, what we've seen and what I tried to do in that story also is let's look at the guys who've kind of been durable, who've been successful. The most obvious example recently is the longest streak in the major leagues, and he may not make it this year, but he's kind of older now, but the longest streak of 150 plus innings seasons year after year after year, not counting 2020 because obviously that was pandemic, is Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer was given the ball and said, go out there and shove from day one in the minors, not kind of put on a very strict limit. And it's worked out really well for him. And by the way, we were talking about Strasburg. Strasburg was the guy who was handled much more gingerly, kind of help him develop. And Scherzer's still pitching and Strasburg's been retired for a while. Doesn't mean that's why, but it does mean for all the Nationals' efforts, including shutting him down before the playoffs one year, it didn't give him long-term durability. I wish it had. I would love to still be seeing a really good Steven Strasburg. But I do think it's worth us asking the questions, baseball as an industry asks the questions, are these things really helping?
Yeah, because when you think about and you made a really good point talking about when you tell a guy he's only going 3, you're going to get 3 where he's shoving and you're getting it all. And one of the things about being a pitcher is you've got to learn how to it's not all 100%. You've got to save yourself. You got to get through innings. These guys are not learning to work through trouble because they're not getting into trouble because they're just going in for 3 innings, striking everybody out, and they're done. So they're learning to be throwers, not pitchers. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it. But the number one question is, has it worked protecting all these guys? Because you've been following this. We just end up hearing as fans about the stars who get hurt. We don't hear about all the different lesser players in the minor leagues, guys in college, even got kids in high school. The amount of Tommy John surgeries has skyrocketed. So this style of pitching, less is more, throw harder, throw as hard as you can, try and get drafted. We're not going to throw you as many innings. Has this worked when it comes to protecting people and keeping them from going under the knife?
Well, we know it hasn't prevented it because as we've seen, the Tommy John rate is not going down, right? Like if this was, to give a different example, if you go back to the start of the 2000s, shoulder injuries for pitchers were, I would say, more dangerous. And we saw as many, if not more of those derailing careers than we did elbow injuries.
Rotator cuff was death.
And we saw like the Reds were at a time where they literally had 6 premium pitching prospects in their system who all had their careers over like a 4-year span derailed by shoulder injuries. And thankfully, you would say, okay, well, what happened? Well, baseball as a whole, the industry figured out there were techniques, there were strengthening exercises, ways to strengthen the muscles in the shoulder that has largely dissipated those shoulder injuries. Doesn't mean that there's still not occasionally a rotator cuff, a shoulder injury that happens, but we don't see nearly the rate of them. We don't see nearly the number of pitchers have their careers derailed by shoulder injuries as we did. We've now we're basically 20 years past the end of professional baseball pitcher abuse, right? There is no, it used to be that you would see, a minor league pitcher could go like, oh, he's really feeling it tonight. If you go back to the 90s, you might see a guy go 130, 140 pitches. That never happens now. If that happened now with a pitching prospect, I think the pitching coach would be fired before the game was over. It would be remove him and remove the pitcher. It's never going to it doesn't happen now.
You mean Gaylord Perry's 324 innings is not walking through that door anytime soon?
No. And so the thing I would say with that, though, is, and again, so we don't have to worry about that, right? We're not worrying that we're going to have guys who basically are out there clearly, utterly worn out and just lobbing the ball back, up to the plate because the manager won't take them out. But what we haven't seen is this dramatic reduction where instead of it used to be that a pitching prospect might be allowed to go 150 innings in the minors, now a lot of them go 100, 110. And we haven't seen a corresponding reduction in the rate of Tommy John surgeries. If I'm being charitable about it, the one argument I could counter make is, well, these guys throw so much harder and they have such nasty stuff that it's kept the Tommy John rate from skyrocketing further. I don't have any proof of that. I don't necessarily believe that, but I'm saying that's the only argument you can make, because no one can make the argument that over these last 10 years, doing it this way has reduced significantly the rate of Tommy John surgeries, because it hasn't reduced them.
It wouldn't you say it's so alarming how many young kids are having this surgery, and it's a surgery where you're out for 14 months. It's definitely life altering.
Yeah, and that's where, again, the thing that's tricky about this, and there are a lot of really smart people studying it, much smarter than me, orthopedists, there are a lot of people, obviously every team in baseball, Major League Baseball is trying to figure this out. And the problem with it is there are so many factors, right? I did this story this week, and I hear from a lot of people saying, hey, I have the solution to the Tommy John epidemic. And it's like, there can't be any one solution to the Tommy John epidemic. I wish it'd be wonderful it could. But when a guy blows out his elbow, I can think of 10 different ways that it could have happened. It could be that the guy's been pitching for 20 years and finally his ligament's been great, but it finally just wore down. Like, okay, he's been doing this for so long. Or it could be that, that when this pitcher was 12, he was asked to throw, 150 pitches and catch during a travel ball tournament.
Yeah.
And that basically led to an injury down the road. Or it could be that he hurt his toe and it bothered him, but not enough to not pitch. And he didn't realize that it was affecting his mechanics. And all of a sudden he's putting stress on his elbow in a way he never has before. And boom, it blows it out. That's just 3. Like, there's about, I could come up with, there's so many different things that are a part of this. But I would say, like, the thing that is discouraging to me is when I write about, pitch counts and all for youth, because again, the lower you go, the younger you go, the more cautious you need to be. Please, under anyone listening to this, I'm not saying that we should be seeing 110, 120 pitch outings from 12-year-olds, because Paul Skeens is a 255-pound grown man who has all of his man strength. And sometimes, the sad thing about it is a lot of times it's the 12-year-olds who are asked to throw on a schedule that the way I would put it is, and I get it, like, unfortunately, it's the dynamics of it. If you're part of a travel ball team, right? No one wants to have a 25-player travel ball team for 12-year-olds, because that means that you're going to travel this weekend, you're going to spend the money on the hotel and all that, and 10 of those players are barely going to play, right? No one wants to do that. So you're going to have like a 13, 14, 15-player roster, right? Well, then everyone wants to get their money's worth out of these tournaments. So if you go on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, hopefully, you don't want to play a game on Friday and a game on Saturday and a game on Sunday like we do with college baseball or pro baseball or anything like that. So if you're winning, you may play a game on Friday, 2 on Saturday or 3 on Saturday, and 2 or 3 more on Sunday. Well, if I went to a college team, a Division I college coach, and said, hey, I've got a schedule for you. The good news is you're going to get a lot of baseball in this weekend. You've got a 35-player roster. So what I'm going to say is why don't we play 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and 3 more on Sunday? And the coach would say, never in a million years. But that's the scenario that we're asking 12-year-olds to do, even though we would never let a 19, 20, or 21-year-old do it. Crazy. So those are things like that also are difficult.
Absolutely crazy. Have you been following Jacob Wilson, our number 1 pick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We just did a top 100 update, and we bumped him up to number 48 on Baseball America's top 100. So he was one of the big risers in this most recent update.
All right. So obviously I do the Mark Kotsay show every single week, and I do our general manager show, David Forst, and I was doing the David Forst show, and I brought it up, and he goes, yeah, but he's only walked once. I went, he's hitting 425. What do I care if he's walked? And then right after that, he hits more, and he's hitting 455, now just promoted to AAA. And I'm like, I was watching the Tony Gwynn documentary last night. They were running parts of it because it was Tony Gwynn's birthday yesterday. And I was just like, there's just some guys who have that gift. And I just wonder if Jacob Wilson's one of those guys, because he went from hitting 400 at Midland and Double-A, dropped a little bit below 400, and then skyrocketed all the way back up to 455. What do you think? Is it something really special? Should we be like, hey, we might really have something here?
The bat to ball skills are special. And that's obviously what we thought we were going to see coming out of the draft. They've even been better than we expected. Credit to him. And to have that in a guy who's going to give you defensive value as well, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty special package. And the fact that he's ready, like, I don't want to overrate it, but it really is important when you see a guy ready to go to that level so quickly after the draft. Because there are every now and then I can find examples of teams who maybe are a little bit over aggressive with the guy. Maybe the Angels sometimes are a little over aggressive with promoting a guy, before he may be fully ready. We've seen that a few times maybe, but teams they're looking for the short, but they're really looking for the long term as well. The fact that here we are, the 2024 draft hasn't even rolled around, and Jacob Wilson has legitimately earned a spot in AAA, which, by the way, is partly because they were so comfortable with what he was doing coming out of spring training that were like, straight to Double-A. Don't even think about sending him to High A. Well, that right there tells you a lot, because there are a number of draftees from last year's draft who are hoping to get to Double-A, and for college guys. And that to be able to go to be this quickly to AAA, again, especially for a guy who is going to provide value both offensively and defensively, that makes him pretty special.
JJ, I could talk to you all day. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you're speaking my language, because I was calling spring training games. We were over at Camelback taking on the Dodgers, and there he is at shortstop, lacing the ball into right field, playing a good shortstop. And I looked over at my fellow broadcaster, and I said, this guy, he looks like he's here in the big leagues with everybody else. He doesn't look like the guy you just drafted out of Grand Canyon. He looks like everybody who's fighting for a big league job right now here on the big league field between arguably the most talented roster, the Dodgers, and you got the A's. He fit in, and that says a lot for a guy who was just playing college baseball.
Absolutely. And the thing that it also just shows you, not a shock with him considering his background at all, but it does show you there's something also. That first spring training as a player, you do kind of, you make a first impression. And when you make a quality first impression, it does mean a lot, because it also helps develop that comfort level. I'm not saying that a guy who makes a poor first impression is like going to be banished and never, come up. But that major league roster, the day it comes and it's like, hey, Jacob Wilson is joining the big league club, everyone on that's going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, they're not going to be like, who? They're not going to be like, really? They're not going to be like, okay, we've really got to show this dude, his place when he gets here. It's a guy who's already shown, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do here. I know that I can be here. And I'm hoping, and I should be here for a long time to come.
All right, so tomorrow we're betting at least 5 for Skeens.
Just again, but I think 4 2/3 is the perfect line for that. I would say if you said 4, I'd have been like absolutely the over. If you'd have said 5, I'd have been maybe but 4 2/3 is the right spot of where it's going to be interesting to see if he gets more than that.
And I try and tell everybody with gambling, you got to make it to where people will bet on both sides. It's got to make you think, well, because as you said, if you go 4, everybody's betting over, and then now as the casino, I'm losing all my money. I gotta have people betting on both sides. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. By the way, you're absolutely fabulous. Your articles are outstanding. Baseball America has been the gold standard forever. So keep doing what you guys are doing, and let's do this again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Great stuff. How you feeling? You feel like Jacob Wilson could be called up right now? Because I do. JJ Cooper, Baseball America's backing me.
Yeah, I mean, we've been following. I don't think have we followed an ace prospect as much as we've been following what Jacob Wilson's doing in AAA, because
Double A
now AAA. I mean, we we've been excited because he's a guy that puts good contact skills, and that's what we're looking for.
Dan Straley would be you.
That's true.
Dan the K-Man.
I was awake. We told him that story about how I was up at 6 a.m. to add him in fantasy.
Probably not. I remember Carter and Taylor years ago. I got a million calls in the postgame show about, Chris Carter and Taylor in Sacramento. But this guy, when we were by the way, what happened to the TV?
I was when you were talking to JJ, I was looking at
out.
and MLB Network just disappeared, and then I couldn't get the Xfinity box to do anything. So I'll try it again in a bit. Maybe when we take a break, because I need to fix the camera too.
So we are at NBC Sports in San Francisco, which is a cable network, and we can't get cable at the cable network.
Unfortunately,
is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
we're at a TV station and we can't watch television.
I'll try.
We're trying to do TV in the background because we're going to have to show you the cool pictures here in the Legends room. But yeah, we're at a TV station and we can't get TV.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get it back on soon. I did talk to Aurelia, confirmed he will not be able to join us.
Love Richie Aurelia.
We'll get him. I mean,
good dude. I'm telling you, Jacob Wilson, he's going to hit at AAA, and then what are you going to do? I mean, do you remember earlier this year I did one of my, was it a third inning report with Vince? He goes, well, I might be a little early, Chris. Max Muncy. Max Muncy?
He's on the injury list anyway.
Max Muncy? Who was hit like this kid?
That we've had? No one.
And as we talked about earlier, the numbers were show the inefficiency in baseball right now. What teams want right now? Why did the Padres trade for Luis Arraez? The one thing you cannot find is guys that make quality contact on a consistent basis. Bil James, I can get the article for you. Bil James had it where he said, and it reminded me of Matt Chapman, and I don't want to get on Matt Chapman. What is going on here? We're falling apart here. I want to read this. You know what? When we come back, it's Bil James talking about, you hit the ball hard, but don't make a lot of contact. You're not really worth. And I thought about two guys.
Oh boy.
I thought two guys. This Bil James article made me think of two guys. It's taking from a Bil James article behind a paywall, which I was like, I'm not going to pay for this. I'm going to read this to you. Once again, we need to focus on slug. Yes, getting on base is great. But you need, how are we going to score runs? And in an era where there's not a lot of runs being scored, or it's hard to score runs, you got to hit. You got to hit. You got to hit for power, and you got to get extra bases. That's what look how the A's have scored. Look how the A's scored all their runs over the weekend.
I was looking earlier too. Coming into today, the league batting average is 240. 240 league batting average. The league slugging percentage is 386. So you're 100% correct on you need to hit for power, doubles, triples,
you have to,
home runs.
because if you're not,
essentially extra base hits is what you want, is what you need.
And I know it might sound, for some people, it's easy, but that's I can give you the list. I can give you the list of the teams scoring the most runs based off home runs, and I got it now. You want to just go to it, or you want to go?
Let's take a break so I can fix the camera.
All right. I'm gonna read part of what's from this Bil James article, and it reminds me of two players, and you know one really well. Slug, and slug some more. You're watching A's Cast Live.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Throws and set. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Baseball Series 1. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit Xfinity.com/network management.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our Year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
We got, well, no, they can't see MLB Network. Can you scan the camera up?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Tyler Ferguson's going to join us here on A's Cast Live. And then we're going to have the Mark Kotsay show for you. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep go to the NBC logo.
I can't see.
Keep going. Keep going. Oh, yeah. Tom Verducci, there he is.
Front of the program.
Friend of the program. was good seeing Tom in Nashville at the winter meetings.
Yeah.
Got to get him on the program.
I feel like most of our I feel like that's a lot.
Not too much headroom.
I think it's too much.
But you can kind of see what's going on behind us, though. It's kind of like it's like casino. Like we're in a casino, and they got the board behind us. All right, go a little lower.
All right.
Go a little lower. We're a work in progress here. It's our first day at NBC.
With the new cameras, I mean, I'm going to turn this so I can see what it looks like.
Yes, we have new we have new fancy cameras that DA got for us. We're still learning. Fancy tripod.
There we go. Now I'm doing it where I'm getting all the shots, so you're going to need to slide to your left a little bit. How's that? Look?
I love it. I absolutely love it. Chris Carey of NBC Sports, California, is texting me. I'll be doing the show with Chris Carey on Sunday. What possibly could go wrong? He's never done it before.
So you're still the analyst?
I'm the analyst.
Interesting. Okay.
He's the guy running the ship, and he's never running the ship before. This isn't Amarillo anymore.
That'll be fun.
And I'm not your twin brother.
It's Mother's Day too. Are you guys going to wear suits?
I'm going polo.
Is it Stu that does like suits on Sunday?
Yeah, it's Stu who likes suits. Mother's Day. What do you mean it's Mother? What do I have to do?
That's true, yeah. And Chris's family lives in Florida?
Yeah.
Florida,
what do I have to do for Mother's Day? Do I have to say it again? My kid's responsibility to take care of their mother. She's not my mother. What do I have to do for my wife?
Fair. I still feel like we have too much headroom.
You know that's a really awful joke, and people there are people just they cringe when I tell that joke. And you're more worried about headroom than my entertainment value here. You guys can all steal that if you want. It's a great joke. When you say, "What are you doing for your wife?" She's not my mother.
I mean,
it gets people all the time. They're like, "Oh, that's horrible." Yeah, of course it's horrible. That's the joke. Can't we entertain? We have fun anymore? It's like the no fun league. We're in the no fun league now.
Thank you, Roger Goodell. Everyone, my dad usually every year calls me and goes, "Don't forget Mother's Day on Sunday." Yes, thanks, Steve. I know it's Mother's Day.
You call your dad Steve?
Well, no, I'm just saying. Now everyone knows my dad's name. Steve is my dad's name. He calls every year to let me know it's Mother's Day. Yes, I know. There's a gift on the way. Mom, she's not watching, so you're getting an edible arrangement.
An edible?
Like the candy or whatever.
Oh, okay.
No.
Edibles in the Bay Area sometimes mean a little different.
My parents, they're a little older, but they're not that old. But they're not into that. It's not their thing.
Neither was my dad till he was dying and the doctor was giving it to him.
Oh, okay. Well, you can have a medical marijuana card in Pennsylvania. So,
so I'm saying, you said you sent edibles to your mom for Mother's Day. I thought that's a kind of a unique gift.
It is a little bit.
But maybe your mom partakes.
It'd be interesting if she did have that. Maybe I should send her one anyway.
All right.
Get back to your two guys.
Back from your drug-infested Pennsylvania family. So Bil James wrote this article suggesting that offense has become too skewed towards power, with the lack of contact hitting leaving runners on the table. The whole piece is outstanding, and he says things like this. When you start stacking up 40 home run men who drive in less than 100 runs each, you've gone too far. What about people who say home runs is a team stat? Even Bil James is saying when a guy doesn't drive in.
You know, it's a good example of that. 40 home runs, less than 100 RBIs. Joey Gallo.
Yeah,
he did it a couple years. I think he had 40.
Brent Rooker, 30 home runs, not even sniffing 100. When the defense starts shifting against you, this was actually, this article was from a couple of years ago, so shifting against you, you can't defeat it. Okay, when a defense, and even though we still kind of have shifting, it's just not as dramatic. When the defense starts shifting against you and you can't defeat it with a bunt or by just making late contact to roll the ball the other way, you've gone too far. It's a great statement. When the defense is saying, we know where you hit it, we're going to get you out almost every time, and you have nothing to combat that. When we kept saying, why don't you just bunt? You can bunt for a base hit. Remember one time Matt Olson bunted like twice, and then all of a sudden, whoop, they changed things really quick. I remember Chris Davis. Were we in Baltimore or at home against Baltimore? For some reason, I remember Baltimore. Chris Davis hit like 3 out of 4 at-bats, hit ground balls right to second base. Where a second baseman normally would be, second baseman wasn't there because they were shifting him. Their base hit, they stopped doing it. Like if you had the ability to make them pay for shifting, they would stop. And the point is, you've gone too far when you can't do that. Where's that one part? There's the other part, but
who are the two guys though you're talking about?
It's Matt Chapman and Giancarlo Stanton. And Giancarlo Stanton admitted it last year.
Yeah.
When he still had one of the best barrel rates and had an awful year. Matt Chapman was number 1 in barrel rate and had a bad year.
Yeah,
so if all you do is hit the ball hard, it's somewhere else in this article, but it's like if all you do is hit the ball hard, but you don't make a lot of contact, what good are you? Every once in a while you hit the ball hard. So there is this fine line of we need to slug. Slug is more, stop telling me about walks. We need to slug, but we got to make contact. Striking out all the time is not, you're not just hitting 40 home runs and we know we saw a lot. There are a lot of empty home runs. We don't put context on home runs. They're solo home runs or home runs when they don't matter. Brent Rooker went from being a guy that we looked at when his home runs were. More than half of his home runs were in losing efforts, but they were, let's face it, Brent Rooker last year, even early this year, hit a lot of home runs late, and a lot of games were already decided late. Brent Rooker right now is hitting everything that matters. He in 12 games has raised his batting average 101 points. His slug in the last 12 games is 791. His OPS is 1281 because he is hitting home runs. He is hitting doubles. He's getting base hits. He is hitting. And when you hit, the numbers go up. And by the way, when your numbers go up, your team's scoring goes up. Everything goes up. Bravo to Brent Rooker. Best improvement I've seen by an ace hitter in a long time. It has been phenomenal to watch. We will talk to Mark Kotsay about it. But yes, Brent Rooker went from one of these guys where you go, he hits home runs, but what else does he really do? Brent Rooker is hitting home runs. He's hitting everything. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to be a 300 hitter, but just look at the type of player Brent Rooker is as a guy with power hitting in the 270s. He's like a completely different guy than a guy with power hitting 176.
I think the turnaround, it's not just the home runs. He has had a bunch of doubles. How many doubles he had in that span? Like 5?
He's had 5 doubles.
5 doubles. Yeah, so he's hitting the ball, not just home runs. He's getting good contact. He has the extra base hits. And everything's going up for him. And we did do the research on how many home runs did he hit that were in games that didn't matter. But this year the teams were competitive, so he's hitting home runs in games that are actually putting the A's ahead and growing leads, which is great to see. And it's good to see him having a bounce back year because it was looking grim at first this year for Brent Rooker. And then he started hitting the ball harder. And we saw Shea Langoliers have a great series. Well, he kills the Rangers for some reason. I know it's his hometown team, but Shea Langoliers versus the Rangers is an easy, if you're a betting person, if you do that, betting, that's an easy bet for you with him against the Rangers. So it's good to see those two guys coming through, but Brent Rooker for sure, maybe pushing to be a 2-time All-Star.
No doubt.
After he was AL player of the week, AL player of the week last week already. So
Mason Miller. The A's may warrant 2 All-Stars. Brent Rooker keeps playing like this. Brent Rooker is going to warrant an appearance in the All-Star game. You've got a lot of the top. I can tell you right now, having Corbin Carroll on my fantasy team, he stinks.
He's not having a good year. There's a lot of guys that are not having great years.
Your guy J-Rod. J-Rod's been terrible.
Yeah.
He's hitting 237 with a 562 OPS.
That's on the season or
on the last 15 games.
Yeah, I was saying I thought
he's got 1 extra base hit and 1 RBI in the last 15. J-Rod has not been good this year. By the way, you know who has been good? And you want to talk about a good bet? The A's have won 6 of Paul Blackburn's 7 starts this year.
The nickname Paulie Winday is back.
Oh, Paulie Pizza?
Yeah, we're going Paulie Winday now.
Paulie Punch Out?
All he does is win. All the team does is win for him. The other side, there was like they've won 6 of 7, then like they've lost 20 of the other 32 or something like that. Is not the
Why do you always have to bring?
No, I'm saying like I hate that they put that in there.
Oakland has lost 20 of its other 32 games in 2024.
I don't know why that's relevant.
Well, because
it's Captain Obvious.
They win when Paul Blackburn's on the mound. By the way, his career against the Mariners at T-Mobile, not Safeco, it's T-Mobile. His career, 19 1/3, 2-0 with a 0.47 ERA with a opponent's average of just 203. Paulie Pacific Northwest, you may call him tonight.
Please call him that on pregame.
That's bad.
Throw it to Dallas and say, hey, Dallas, Paulie Pacific Northwest on the mound tonight. He's been great at T-Mobile.
He's been great at T-Mobile. You might want to call him Paulie Pacific Northwest. I don't know. That's pretty bad. How bad is that?
I don't know. We throw a bad.
What are they going to do? Throw us out of here?
Yeah, I mean,
there's no one big enough here to throw me out.
I think you should do it or not throw it. It wouldn't matter. If it was Chris Carey, he'd run with it. Chris would run with that. But Paulie's not pitching Sunday, unfortunately. So
no,
throw it at him anyway. If he pitches well tonight, say, what do you think of Paulie Pacific Northwest?
He's dominating. Well, we got him from the Mariners.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah. Originally Cubs first rounder. Every time I tell people he's a first rounder, they're always like, he was a first round pick. Yes, he was.
Yeah, and every single time you tell me, I do it. I think I've done it multiple times where I go, you sure about that? He was a first rounder?
Yeah.
Like comp first round
I'll pull it up.
Win first round.
It was like
Paul
round.
Skeens first round.
He was not a 1-1.
He's not an Adley Rushman.
Let's see. Paulie
Ben McDonald.
First round, 56 of the 2012 draft.
Right, so he was a comp
pick, yes. 56 picks, though. It seems like a lot. That's a long way down. That's a lot of comp picks.
That's a lot of comp picks.
It's always interesting to look and see who was in that. So it's going to bring up the 2012 draft. It's always interesting. Yeah. Number 1 pick of the 2012 draft was Carlos Correa.
Oh, this is interesting. Did you know that Carlos Correa was the first overall pick of the 2012 draft, signed for 4.8? Byron Buxton was the second overall pick of the first round by the Twins, and he signed for $6 million. The second pick in the draft got $1.2 million more dollars to sign than the first pick.
Yeah, let's see who else.
How does that work?
Well, see, the Astros saved money, so who did they draft after that, though? Because usually when you don't spend, you pick a guy first to save money to pick someone later. And they got McCullers in the second round. And they paid him $2.5 million to not go to. But he didn't. He was coming out of high school, I think. So they gave him.
So you draft Correa knowing you can sign him for less. A lot of fans hate that and say that's bad business strategy.
Yes.
We got to address the Mason Miller article. We haven't even done that yet.
No, we could do that quickly before Tyler.
Can we address this? Is this really news? Yes. The A's are going to get phone calls from the other 29 teams about their good players. It's always going to happen. These conversations happen all the time. Nowhere in this article, because I got people calling me freaking out. I'm like, wait a minute. Nowhere in the article does it say they're shopping him.
Yeah, it's just saying teams are calling with interest.
Okay. Teams can call, and David Force is going to take your call. And yeah, if you ask me what's it going to take, it's going to take a boatload. Everybody is tradable for the right price.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, he's not free until 2020. He's not free until 2030.
Like, could he be traded? No doubt. Could you get a haul? No doubt. But that article does not say he's being traded. It doesn't say he's being shopped.
Yeah, it just says
people are calling the A's. Is that really a story?
And the asking price is steep.
Of course it would be.
Yeah. But for people who haven't seen it, it's Ken Rosenthal wrote the article for The Athletic. That's where it came from yesterday. He also brought it up, I think, on Foul Territory a couple days ago, too. So that's where it first started, and then he wrote the article yesterday.
It's not a news story. GMs calling GMs to ask about players is not a news story. He's playing the clickbait game because that becomes a Mason Miller. It's like, of course, people are going to call David Force. They're going to call about Paul Blackburn. They're going to call about Brent Rooker. They're going to call. Of course they are. What do we think that David's got his phone off? Nope, I'm not answering it. Nope, I'm not talking to anybody. Anybody who plays well for the A's, anybody who plays well for a team under 500, the general managers guys will even get calls. Great players. I mean, great players have been through. Hall of Famers have been put through waivers. I mean, the Patriots, true or false, had conversations about trading Tom Brady.
Whoa. True.
What? What are people shocked about? And let me ask you the question. If you got like the most unbelievable haul, think about what like the Nationals got for Juan Soto. CJ Abrams, who is going to be an all-star this year. Mackenzie Gore, who's left-handed throwing 98. And what's the Thomas kid who's supposedly going to be all-world, who's in AAA now?
They have Robert Hassel, then they got James Wood, who's killing
James Wood?
Wood's killing in AAA right now.
I have Thomas. So James Wood's supposedly the next great player.
And they got this Hassel kid who was like the Padres top.
If you get 4 like great players, you wouldn't take that for a closer who there's a. Do you guys really think the Mason Miller thing lasts forever? Throwing 103 miles an hour?
I'm going to skew towards no, but people are excited, so I get why people
I get it. Should be excited. It's fun. It's breathtaking. It's awesome. Do you think the closer thing lasts forever?
I think eventually they will probably try to want to put him back in the rotation.
All I know is people are going to call David Force about anybody who's a good player.
As you should. I mean, every team and
It's
every
the
GM should do that. Yes. It's a business of not just baseball, professional sports.
So, but everybody freaking out right now, seeing one article, either trading him. Like, slow down.
Juan Soto's been traded twice. So I'm just saying, I mean, anyone can be traded.
Anybody can be traded. All right, Tyler Ferguson is one of the great stories. This is a guy in the minor leagues for 8 years, made his debut at 30 years old. Perseverance, man. I said the other day, if you were at that game and you had your kids there, you'd say, hey, this is a guy that never gave up on his goals, never gave up on his dreams. You need to be like this. It's pretty amazing. So we want to get his story for you right here on A's Cast Live. It's great having you on the program. You know, just listening to your story yesterday and the fact you made your big league debut yesterday at the age of 30. Now that it's happened, what's it like the day after?
I'm sore. Threw a lot of pitches yesterday, but it's been awesome. An awesome experience. It's like amazing to be here. It's one of those things where you hope it happens, but there's no guarantees in this game, especially for as long as I got to play it, but it feels amazing. It's awesome. I got lucky enough from California, and all my family was able to make it up for yesterday, and even more family and friends here today. So it's been amazing.
Take us kind of through the journey, right? You went to Vanderbilt. You're playing the SEC. You think you're going to progress, hopefully through the minors to the big leagues, because that's the game plan.
Yeah,
and then 8 years in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Take us through this process and what it's been like.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I was drafted by the Rangers, so it's kind of a full circle moment. Drafted by them in 2015. Had my share of injuries and struggles with them over about 3-4 seasons. Finally got released, played independent baseball for a year in Canada, which was fun. That was the first time I had fun playing baseball in a while. It's a tough game, especially when you're trying to keep your job and all the different things that go into it. And then went spring training with the Dodgers, then COVID hit, and so I didn't play that year. Went to independent ball again in 21 to start the year. Signed with the Braves. Worked my way up in the year and a half with them in AAA. Was with the D-backs last year at AAA all season. And then, got another opportunity with A's. So just been quite the ride. Yeah, take us through, because when I talk to people doing the post-game show, I try and tell them all the time, when you're in the minor leagues for a long time, there's doubt that creeps in. As you mentioned, there's injuries. I'm sure there's people. I mean, you went to Vanderbilt, obviously a smart guy. So there's people who are probably telling you maybe it's time to
hang them up and go get a career. And just talk about how the perseverance of saying, you know what, I'm going to play this game until they rip the uniform off me, and you were rewarded for that.
Yeah, luckily rewarded. Not everyone gets rewarded for that. I've thought about hanging up a number of times. This game can beat you up, and it's beaten me up its fair share. But it's also very rewarding. When things do go well, it's the most fun when you're rolling and the game is happening the way you want it to happen. But yeah, luckily my wife has let me keep playing. I work part-time for my mom so that I could afford to keep playing. There's been a lot that's gone into it, family support, friend support to be able to make it happen. It's not just me, I'm the one playing, but there's a lot of people behind that have helped me stay healthy, get better, be able to play. So it's fun. It's fun that, all the text messages of all the people that have been a part of it. It's been an amazing journey.
So Fran Reardon always has fun when he calls guys up. I had to think this one was really special. What was it like when he told you after all this time you're going to the big leagues? How did he do it?
He called me. It was like 11. We just phoned to Austin to play Round Rock. So it was like 11:45 at night. I probably should have been asleep already because we had a noon game. But luckily he was awake and he called me and just let me know. He was really excited for me. He knows my story. He knows how hard I've worked and how well I've been pitching down there. And, he wanted it for me too. So it was just an awesome phone call, and then trying to spread the word to family so they could be here since it was a 12:30 game. So it was cool.
11:45 at night. You didn't sleep, did you?
I got 3 hours. Yeah. So 11:45 got the call. By the time I got packed up, got my baseball bag, tried to fall asleep. It was almost 2 a.m. by the time I fell asleep, and my alarm went off before 5. So it wasn't a lot of sleep. Didn't get to the field until like 11:15 yesterday. So it was quite a rush, before the game, which kind of is the way you draw it up, because I didn't have enough time to worry about anything except getting here and trying to make my body feel halfway decent so I can go out there and perform. So wouldn't trade it for the world. It's not how, it's exactly how a lot of people experience their first time. It's the last second phone call and get here and go perform.
Sometimes especially as a reliever, when you make your debut, you might sit in the bullpen for a couple days, right? Not for you. You come right in. It's 2 innings yesterday. So I can ask you that moment, whether it's in the clubhouse, it's walking on the field, it's going on the mound, having your name through the loudspeakers. What was the, oh my God, I'm here? What's my big league moment?
When I was warming up, I could hear them announce, making his major league debut. I think that's kind of the moment. It's like, okay, we're here. There was plenty of emotions going on and trying to, contain yourself during that moment. But that was kind of probably the moment where, they start playing a song for you and say major league debut. And you're like, okay, like I still have a job to do, but, I've made it here. This is what we've been working for 20 plus years to do.
Yeah. And not only that, we're going to roll you out there for 2 innings.
Yeah. We ended up Brownie, ran into that ball and made a good swing and put us within 7. So it was a point where we couldn't throw a position player. So I had to go back out there so that we could preserve as many relievers as we could for today, since we got 2. So yeah, wasn't playing, I haven't thrown 52 pitches in a while, but I feel good. The whole body's sore today, but ready to roll if they needed some more today.
Let's end on this. What was the phone call like? I'm sure to your wife, then your parents, people have been there with you. You think about, I always mention, for all of us who ever played, it's like all the Little League games and Pony League games and high school games and all the practices. What was the phone call like to your wife? What was it like to your parents?
Well, it was funny. Everyone was pretty much going to bed since it was so late. So they live in California. My dad was already asleep, so I left him a voicemail. My sister was already asleep, left her a voicemail. My wife was brushing her teeth. My mom was pretty much, I woke my mom up on FaceTime. So it was kind of, they were all quick phone calls where I was just kind of just letting them know I was still trying to contain myself and not let out all the emotions. But it was a special moment because they all wanted for me just as bad as I wanted. So yeah, it was cool.
I'll just tell you, yesterday on the post-game show, I said for a lot of the parents who had their kids in the stands, you're a great story because you tell your kids always follow your dreams.
Yeah.
And you've done just that. It's something you should be very proud of.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the Oakland Athletics.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
A great story right here on A's Cast. How about that? I mean, he's an unbelievable story. 8 years. 8 years. 30 years old, making your debut.
And to go full circle to have it happen against a team that drafted you, it's pretty cool.
I mean, can you imagine that call? Can you imagine his parents? I mean, he's 30 years old. Him and baseball has been happening for a long, long time. His wife. I mean, it's one of the cool things that we have in our sport that you just don't get in all the other sports. Yes, they have guys make their debuts at different time and everything, but they don't have expansive minor league systems like we do.
No, not even close.
Right? You're not going to have a guy. Where would a guy be playing minor league football for 8 years or basketball?
Well, the NFL Europe's not around anymore, so
No,
can't use that.
Not in the arena league. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Basketball, you got the G League.
No one's 30 years. Is there old guys?
Oh, there's not there. It's more. I think it's more uncommon, but there are guys that are older playing in the G League. Yes.
Who have never played in the NBA?
The Lakers had a guy a couple of years ago that was in the G League I think it was a D League then forever, and they finally called him up. He was like 30-something years old.
He had never, though.
No, it was his first time in the NBA. Like I said, it's very. I think it's more rare.
Yeah. We have it happen in our sport. It's pretty cool. You want to go to Mark Kotsay?
You got to go. Your TV start today, so
I will be doing A's pre and post game live. I'll be the analyst.
I'll put it on in here when I'm doing post game with Jess.
So I actually have to give I have to actually give like real takes. I can't be like, well, when I played. When you played.
Why not?
Well, when I played.
Why not? You played in college, but you still played.
When I played, we didn't even have bats. I'm so old, the balls are.
Just start using it. Well, if you look at the back of the baseball card.
I mean, because the bottom line is like, baseball, it's 2024. If you haven't played in the last 10 years, the game, there's a lot of things that are different in the game.
I don't think you have the guts to go up to Brody and go, Brody, when you look at the back of J-Rod's baseball card, you know he's going to figure it out.
Or he stinks. I look at the baseball reference right now. He stinks. J-Rod.
I just want to hear you use the back of the baseball card cliche.
I'll tell you what, one thing that I've been looking at, this home series just skewed the A's offensive numbers. Because all of a sudden now, in wins, runs per game are 5.33. Runs per game in May is 7.50. When you put up a 20 spot and then 9, what was the final game one? 9-4?
Yeah.
And then the second game was 12-11.
Yeah, so you had, what is that? That's 36 runs scored in 2 games between both teams.
So it's like these numbers are totally skewed. All righty. The Mark Kotsay Show every Friday right here on A's Cast Live. For the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Nest Bedding. Love where you sleep. Check out their location in the Bay Area, or you go to nestbedding.com for all of your sleep needs, your mattress, your pillows, your sheets, you name it. We're in Seattle with the skipper. How are you?
I'm doing well, Towny. Coming off a really beautiful, nice off day here in Seattle, which if you've been to the Northwest, you don't get many days like that, but it was 75 and a little bit of a breeze, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, that's rare. I mean, when you think of like a perfect day, there's nothing coming out of the sky, no type of water, misting or rain. I mean, that is sweet. Did you guys get golf in? What'd you guys do?
We did. There was a group of us, Bobby Crosby, Mike Aldretti, myself, and then one group of players that went out. TJ McFarland kind of led the way in getting us out to the golf club at Newcastle, which is really above Bellevue, up on the mountain kind of side, and we had a full view of the city and the sound, and it was a pretty spectacular day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely beautiful. The Pacific Northwest. Let's talk about that double header. It was a long, long day, and the thing that I love the most, even though your team lost, it was like a heavyweight fight. It was like when we were kids watching heavyweights go 15 rounds pounding each other, and no one wanted to go down until the final bell, and they stopped it. I mean, just talk about a long day, that doubleheader, and the way your team fought all day long.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned we lost. We lost game 2. We won game 1, which, after the first 2 games of that series, we lost a heartbreaker on Monday night, and then a day game on Tuesday, which was really unusual after a night game Monday night to show up and not play well. We wanted to respond. We obviously came out that first game of the doubleheader, played really well, swung the bats good. We got good pitching from Sears and obviously from Miller to pitch the last 2 innings of the game to secure that win. Coming out of this game 2, it's always hard to take both games of a doubleheader. We got down, we got behind, we kept battling, we kept fighting. We got it to within 1 run, and then we were back down by 4, and we got it to like 2 or whatnot. I mean, you're right. It was a heavyweight battle that, the last man standing kind of mentality for our group, which after, playing a 2-hour game prior to that game, having a 30-minute break and jumping back into another 9 was really impressive from the grind mentality, the grit that this group showed in game 2, even though we fell 1 run short.
And very impressed by you and all the different moves that you're making. I mean, you're talking now, you've been in uniform, you've been out on that field well over 5 hours. I mean, you had the early game, as you mentioned, then the break, and this was the second game was the longest game of the season, and you got all these players. And what's it like to manage in a grind like that and still have to make these decisions that have to be spot on?
Well, I mean, you never lose that mindset. You never lose the mentality and staying focused. You owe that not just to the players, to yourself, and to this organization, to the fan base, that I care so much about, and having their respect, on a daily basis, which is putting the work in and being prepared. We took our shot in the 5th inning with a couple matchups against their only lefty in the pen, when we pinch hit Nevin, and then we pinch hit Davis, and we pinch hit Davis for our starting catcher, but we added Tyler Soderstrom to the roster. He's out on first base. We've got Lang DHing. So there was a lot of versatility, a lot of moves that gave us an advantage. And, doesn't always work out, right? You don't always get the result, but you got to be prepared. And I think Darren Bush, myself, we're locked in. And we're locked in until the final out. And that's the way our minds are set. And that's what we owe to the players as well.
It's like Shea Langoliers has had a career already against the Texas Rangers. It's unbelievable, his numbers, how much he has dominated his hometown team. Did you have a team like that, or did you have a teammate who there was this one opponent, you saw them and it was like going to an arcade, you were going to light them up like a pinball machine?
Well, I think in looking back, like the one stadium that I can really recall being very successful in was Cleveland's. I liked going there. I loved hitting there. So I think Shea feels really good against the Rangers, and obviously the results are there. But it's weird because the timing of this series kind of just aligned with, all the processes that Shea's stuck with, all the work he's put in on his swing, to be patient, to understand that, the results will happen, and then for them to show up, this series against the Rangers, to see the at-bats. And Shea's had some good at-bats. He's cut down on his strikeouts for the most part. I think we like the direction he's headed. And again, like you said, I mean, he has had quite a season so far against the Rangers.
When you look at him, you wouldn't say he's your best athlete. But Shea Langoliers is probably your fastest player. That home run he hit, that hit off the sweets, is amazing. Is Shea Langoliers your fastest guy and your best athlete, and he's your catcher?
Well, the answer. He's not our fastest guy because Ruiz is on the roster. So.
Okay, yeah. Other than Ruiz.
But you know what? Shea Langoliers may run from home to first faster than Esther Ruiz. That's probably a proven. We could get that data. But in terms of just being athletic, yes, you wouldn't look at Shea first glance and say this kid's athletic, but what he does behind the plate, how he blocks balls, his arm strength, obviously, he can score on a double in the gap from first. You're right. He's a great athlete.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, in the next week or so, we're going to become baseball nerds, and we're diving into a lot of these analytics. And I'm showing that slugging percentage more than on base right now in an era where it's hard to score runs is really, really important. You love how guys get on base, but you got to slug. And looking at Brent Rooker from New York to where we are today, his numbers are skyrocketed. It's not because he's walking. It's because he's hitting. He's hitting bombs. He's hitting doubles. He's hitting base hits. Just talk about Brent Rooker and what you've seen, and he's just become a slug monster.
Yeah, he actually has made a great adjustment with 2 strikes. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but in talking with Darren Bush, who's the director of hitting and also the bench coach, but Darren and Rook had a good conversation about 2 strikes and his approach, and one little small minor adjustment that he made has really helped him cut down the strikeouts, but not eliminate the power, which is something we don't ever want to do. We don't want to take the power away from Rook, and what he's done over the last 10 games is pretty remarkable, as you talk about.
His numbers from New York to where they are now, I mean, I know people don't want to talk batting average, but when you go from 200 to 277, that is a massive leap.
13 for his last 32, 4 homers, 406 over his last 10. So I'd say those are pretty good numbers.
All right, you got a long road trip coming up. I think that's always great for you guys to be up there in the
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Throws and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Baseball Series 1. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
With an advanced network, cybersecurity solutions, and trusted partnership, Comcast Business powers more businesses than anyone. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
His arm strength, obviously, he can score on a double in the gap from first. Like, you're right. He's a great athlete.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, in the next week or so, we're going to become baseball nerds, and we're diving into a lot of these analytics, and I'm showing that slugging percentage more than on base right now in an era where it's hard to score runs is really, really important. You love how guys get on base, but you got to slug. And looking at Brent Rooker from New York to where we are today, his numbers are skyrocketed. It's not because he's walking. It's because he's hitting. He's hitting bombs. He's hitting doubles. He's hitting base hits. Just talk about Brent Rooker and what you've seen, and he's just become a slug monster.
Yeah, he actually has made a great adjustment with 2 strikes. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but in talking with Darren Bush, who's the director of hitting and also the bench coach, but Darren and Rook had a good conversation about 2 strikes and his approach, and one little small minor adjustment that he made has really helped him cut down the strikeouts, but not eliminate the power, which is something we don't ever want to do. We don't want to take the power away from Rook, and what he's done over the last 10 games is pretty remarkable, as you talk about.
His numbers from New York to where they are now, I mean, I know people don't want to talk batting average, but when you go from 200 to 277, that is a massive leap.
13 for his last 32, 4 homers, 406 over his last 10. So I'd say those are pretty good numbers.
All right, you got a long road trip coming up. I think that's always great for you guys to be up there in the This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel, design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
You're listening to A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, it's not Chris Townsend. Commander Cody here with you. Not sure what's happening with the Mark Kotsay show file. I apologize for that. I will try uploading the full show with Mark Kotsay to YouTube later today. But that's going to do it for A's Cast Live today. We want to thank J.J. Cooper from Baseball America for joining the show, Tyler Ferguson, and half of Mark Kotsay's interview with Chris Townsend, which you'll hear the full podcast at athletics.com/A'sCast. Jessica Kleinschmidt is coming up at the top of the hour for A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. Towny and I will be back for postgame. Jess and I will start postgame. Towny will join after he's done on television with Brody Brazil at NBC Sports California. So that's going to do it for the show today. We want to thank everyone for watching and listening to A's Cast. Enjoy A's baseball. We'll be back on Monday at 2 o'clock before the Astros game for A's Cast Live. Have a great weekend, everyone.
This is Chris Townsend. I'm proud to announce our year 2 partnership with Link Soul. They've changed my wardrobe, and they can do the same for you. And right now, their spring collection is fabulous. Natural fabrics and versatile styles, perfect for this time of the year. And they want to introduce their performance line for golf, premium for on-course apparel, design, and to keep you cool and dry. Check it all out, linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. Remember, look good, play good.
Whether it's a midweek trip to the ballpark to catch a game or a weekend of baseball for the family, grab your tickets for an A's game this season. Secure your seats today for all the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Don't miss out on all the things happening this season.
Rose and Seth. It's a drive into center. It's deep, and Straw is back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
So grab yours now at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Baseball season is officially here, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the first product of the season, Topps Baseball Series 1. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the games. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. They have a new spring menu with special dishes and a full bar with new delicious spring cocktails. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.